Hey everyone, welcome to Chef. So today we're going to create a traditional French chicken recipe. It's called 40 cloves of garlic, which actually gets 40 cloves of garlic in it. It's a very beautiful dish. It's very simple to execute, and this is one of the dishes that you really can impress with. All the colors are so vibrant, it gives that real wow factor. All these flavors are going to really please the palate. You're really going to wow everybody by the presentation. So let's go get Chef. Next, we're going to start the potatoes. The beautiful thing about these potatoes are they're all pretty consistent in size. So keep that in mind down the road. If you ever get a bigger potato, you definitely want to cut them so they all are even in size so they cook evenly. So next, we're going to put the potatoes into our small pot. I'm going to fill it up with cold water, just till it fills right above the potato. We're going to bring up the heat up to a high heat. Cover it. So now we're going to let the potatoes just do their thing for 15 minutes, then we're going to come back to finish them. Okay guys, so next step, we're going to mise en place and prepare all of our ingredients. So we're going to do some chopping, we're going to do a little bit of creating some stock, we're going to be doing a little bit of zesting of the lemon. What's great about this step is if you actually find time in the day before you're planning on executing this meal, you could actually prepare all this step way ahead of time. So there's a little benefit to that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to fill up half a cup with warm water. And we're going to take our little chicken-based flavored mix and we're going to add it to our water and just stir that in to create our base stock. Nice and easy. Next step, we're going to take all of our garlic cloves and we're going to slice them in half lengthwise. So whenever you're going to be slicing garlic or you're going to be doing any type of chopping, you really want to get a good firm grip on your knife. This way your wrist doesn't slip, in which you could actually cut yourself. Very easy. Always keep your fingertips in. This way you have no wandering fingers that might actually get cut. Once we're done with all of our garlic, we're going to move on to the shallot. Now a shallot's a baby sweet onion, so this one we need to mince. Easiest way how to prep a diced onion or a minced onion, cut it in half and stand it on its flat edge. This way it's not going to fall over when you're trying to chop it and chasing after it. You're going to cut right into it one time, but not all the way through. Do about 2 or 3 slits, and now just go right across it. Bada bing, bada boom. Very easy. Chops it right up. So the shallot's really going to give a lot of sweetness to the potatoes. Once you have that, set that off to the side. Next, we're going to chop and mince our Italian parsley. So there's curly parsley out there, and then there's flat Italian parsley. I'm an Italian from New York, so I always stick to the good stuff, the Italian parsley. So we're going to roll that up. The stems are actually very delicate, so you can chop through that. And what you're going to do is roll. Just do a quick slice all the way through, very carefully. Once you get down to the base, which is mostly stem, you can discard that. Turn your parsley. Go one more time acrosswise. Watch your fingertips. Put that off to the side. What we're also going to need to do for this recipe for the parsley is you're just going to split that right in half. It's going to go into 2 steps. Okay. Next step is the fun step. We're actually going to take a lemon and we're going to use a zester. So whenever you zest a lemon, you're really getting the essence of the lemon without hitting any of the white part, which is the rind, which is going to make the bitter face when you ever have like a really sour lemon. So we're going to stay away from that. So the best way to zest a lemon, or any fruit of that matter, this is called a microplaner. So they have different sizes. You have a wide one, you have a skinny one, whatever one you're comfortable with is the easiest way to do it. So whenever you're zesting, put the zesting knife over the bowl and just do a 1-2 motion over the lemon. Once you hit that 3 or 4, you're going to hit the white part, which is the rind, which is going to give you that bitterness flavor that we don't want. Very easy, but also please be very careful with using a microplaner because these are very sharp and you could actually cut yourself. soon as that's all, you got most of the rind down. I'm sorry, most of the zest down. Just give it a little bit of a pat. Get all that good stuff on the inside. We don't want to lose any of that stuff, right? Next step, we're going to cut the lemon in half. So in order to maximize all the juice out of a lemon, what you want to do is take your knife and just roll the lemon to soften it up. Cut it in half and use our juicer. Just be careful not to squeeze any in your eye. Alrighty. One other step that I already had to do, so just a reminder, you guys got to supply your own white wine. So right here I portioned out half a cup of white wine, so that's all ready to go. Before we move on to the next step, now would be a great time to check out potatoes. So first thing you want to do is get a colander ready. If the potatoes are ready, we're going to see if they're fork tender. Whenever you're going to be handling any type of equipment, any pots, pans on top of the stove, always use a towel because you never want to burn your hand. So we want to check out potatoes to see if they're tender. Best way to do that, use a fork, give it a good stab. If it comes out nice and easy, like that, they're done. Okay, so next we're going to drain our potatoes. Right into the colander, be careful it doesn't splash back up at you. Give it a little shaky shake, back in the bowl. Bring it right back to the burner. Put the lid on it. Now we just let that hold until we're ready to actually finish the potatoes. We'll finish that in the next couple steps, but let's get ready to start cooking that chicken. Okay, so next we're going to brown the chicken. So here's a little helpful hint. Whenever you're going to sear something or you're going to get a saute pan, heating it up, you actually want to start it off on low rather than just blasting it on high heat. This is going to actually evenly distribute the heat and actually get the whole bottom of the pan at an even temperature. So when you kick it up to high heat, you'll actually get a better sear. So next we're going to go to our chicken and we're going to pat dry it. Any type of protein, you always want to pat dry it. This way, when you add the seasoning to it, it's actually going to stick to the protein. And then when you're actually searing it into the oil, no moisture is going to actually jump in there, hit the grease, and the next thing you know, it's 4th of July in your face. Alrighty, next step, we're going to season our chicken. So we're going to season it with a little S&P, a little salt and pepper. So it's going to be 1 teaspoon, so do about half a teaspoon on one side. Hit it with some black pepper. So whenever it comes to seasoning, I always prefer to season all my proteins with the presentation side down. Because when I add it to the pan, the presentation side down is going to go down first again to get that really good caramelization. So after I have seasoned one side, I'm going to flip it over. And continue with the rest of my salt and pepper. Okay, so now that I have all my chicken seasoned, now's the best time to kick up your saute pan to a nice high heat after it's already been warming up on that low heat, evenly distributed temperature. Okay, so next we're going to add a tablespoon of olive oil to the pan. The good stuff. After you add that olive oil, you want to swirl it around just so it evenly coats the bottom of the pan. That's when we're going to hit it with our tablespoon of butter, or some people call it butter. You can actually hear that start to sizzle. Once again, just give that a nice little swirl, just like that. And when I said presentation side down on the chicken, that's where the skin used to be. Whenever you add a protein into hot oil or vegetables, you also want to add it away from you. When I first started, when I was 15 years old, I'd pop the chicken in right at me and I get hit with the grease. So learn from me, you always want to put it away from you. Now we're just going to brown the chicken in that good olive oil butter. You can smell all that flavor, the nuttiness of the butter breaking down. And we're going to sear that and just get a nice good caramelization on that one side for a good solid 5 minutes. Okay, now that we have that good sear with our chicken, next we're going to add all of our garlic. You just want to sprinkle it all around. Remember, use your towel. Give it a little bit of a shake. So as you can see, the chicken's nice and golden brown. We have all of our good garlic in it. And you can see all that flavor on the bottom. That's actually called fond. That's all the flavor from whenever you're roasting and searing stuff. Next, what you want to do is bury your garlic. So we're going to actually move that garlic into the middle of the pan. Move your chicken to the outside. And try to create like a nice pile. Once you have it all in the center like that, you can see all the nice golden color. The garlic's actually caramelizing right now. Now you're going to bury that. Okay, so now that we have the chicken with the garlic buried underneath, now we're going to hit it with our white wine. Go around the plate. So now we're going to add our chicken stock around the pan. That's going to release all that fond that I said earlier that has all that flavor on the bottom. Now you can give it just a little bit of movement to get all that flavor off. So now that we have released all that flavor of the fond off the bottom of the pan and all those juices are cooking, put the lid on the pan, lower the heat to medium, and let that braise for 15 minutes. So braising's a great technique. You set it up, you have your liquids in it, you cover it, let it do its own thing. So while that's cooking, we're actually gonna finish our potatoes. There we have our potatoes that are nice fully cooked. We're going to add our shallots into that pan and half of the parsley. Next, we're going to take a masher and we're just going to give it a nice little chunky mash just to break up those potatoes. See the color of the potatoes? They're still a little bit on the dull side. However, once you hit it with that nice acid from the lemon juice and all that lemon rind, the zest, it's actually going to make it much more vibrant. Hit it with the lemon juice, lemon zest. We're going to hit it with a teaspoon of salt. And our black pepper. Just give it a nice little mix. You could actually see the potato actually turning more of a vibrant purple. So definitely the acid is starting to change the color. This is what I was talking about earlier. If this is definitely a dish, if you want to impress, all the colors of this dish really stand out. Next, you can put the lid back on top of the potatoes. Keep them warm until you're ready to plate. You can check on your chicken. As you can see, it's all braising nicely. You can see the colors becoming like a really deep, rich brown sauce. So while that's cooking and while that's finishing, we're going to actually saute off our spinach. So all we're going to do with this is just give it a nice light wilt. Once again, I start off on the low. I'm going to add only a tablespoon of the braising liquid. It's okay if you get a couple of those garlic guys in there. Kick this up to a nice high. And you're going to add your spinach. After you add the spinach, you can hit it with a pinch of salt. A little black pepper. So now I'm sure after you're smelling all these flavors, you've been engaged, you're cooking the chicken, cooking the potatoes, I'm sure your stomach's saying, hey, it's time to feed me. So we're going to get ready to plate. As you hear that sizzling going on with the spinach, that means it's actually starting to wilt a little bit. And as soon as it's like halfway wilted, you can just turn it off and just let it carry over. Okay, so now we're going to plate. You're gonna evenly distribute your spinach onto 2 plates right in the center. Check on your chicken, and you can actually see all those nice color of that, all that caramelization is actually coming out in the garlic. So now that the chicken is just about cooked, you could also check it's fork tender. And we're good to go. Okay, so now that we know our chicken's cooked, now we're gonna finish plating. Right now on our plate in the center, we have our spinach, so now we're gonna build up from there to give that a really good wow factor. So now we're going to take our spatula or spoon, and we're going to plate some of this purple potato right into the center. Purple potato, it's such a starchy potato filled with all those antioxidants that as it sits, you're going to see it's just going to get a little bit more firm. Okay, next up, there's all that chicken. I'm sure your house is smelling just as good as my house right now. I'm going to put 2 of those thighs right over the top. Whenever you're having fun with food, you always want to give it that wow factor to the eye. Remember, people always eat with their eyes. Hit some of that garlic right over the top. Bada bing, bada boom. Just drizzle a little bit more of that sauce all around. Final touch. Oh, just give it a nice clean wipe. You have all your flavors of the spinach with some of that sauce that we braised the chicken with all that good garlic flavor. You have that beautiful purple potato filled with all those antioxidants. You have that beautiful chicken that's been braised with all that nice brown sauce that was from all the fond that hit the bottom of the pan. So once it's there, just get your fork, get ready to impress, and you just been chefed.